Welcome to the Human Development and Leadership webinar Short Takes series. This clip is one of 4 short takes from an October 2016 webinar on leading through generational conflict. Information on our speakers, Caroline Wolfgang and Marilyn Monda, can be found at the end of the clip. Just pause on the slides to read their bios and contact information. Take a minute to give us some feedback by commenting on the HD&L myasq.org community page. We want to know what you think.
So let's talk a little bit about these generations. And it looks like it's interesting because it looks like we're almost following the proportions in the actual workplace. A generation is formally defined as a group of people who witnessed the same historical events and had similar sociological influences. They're a group of people who are living at the same time and who are with a certain age range. And they're sometimes referred to in the research as a cohort. So you can see on this graph, it's kind of interesting. On the graph, you can see that right now we've got about, in Brooks's generation, we've got about 28% silent generation, about 66% Generation X in the workplace, and the millennials and the baby boomers are crossing at about 75%, which means we're seeing quite a bit of millennials in the workplace today. And as you might expect, as time goes on, the millennials are going to stay as the highest group, whereas the Generation X and boomers are going to start declining fairly quickly. So what do you know about generational traits? This quote I found interesting. It says, because all the peoples of the world are part of one electronically based intercommunicating network, young people everywhere share a kind of experience that none of the elders have ever had. This break between generations is wholly new, it's planetary, and it's universal. Now, you might think that this is a quote about millennials, but you might be interested to find that this was actually a quote from the famous anthropologist Margaret Mead from all the way back in 1970. And so one of the things that you're going to see as a theme in this presentation is that a lot of these interesting generational inferences and assumptions may not be exactly what you think. So what I'm going to ask you to do here is to use your hand raise if you have seen one or more of these generational issues in your workplace. Issues around communication styles and language, work-life balance, business etiquette, dress and grooming, leadership versus hierarchy, troubles around that, dismissive attitudes, work hours. Boy, look at all those hands going up, Caroline.
There's a lot of hands. Yes, I noticed that. A lot of hands. I'll raise my hand, too, to most of those.
Yeah, it's really funny. As soon as I tell someone that I'm working on this generational issues, boy, did the stories start coming up. And thank you, everybody, for raising your hands and letting us know that these are issues for you. In fact, a study showed that of 2,500 executives, found a quarter of them consider intergenerational issues to be a big problem in the workplace. And whether that's true or not, it certainly is a perception that we have to deal with.